You know that moment when the house feels too quiet? When the ticking of the clock sounds louder than anything else around you? Maybe you're sitting on the couch, the TV on just for background noise, but you're not really watching what's on, and deep down, there's this feeling starting to grow, a feeling of emptiness, as if the world is moving too fast, and you somehow got left behind. If that sounds familiar, please know you're not alone, and more than that, you don't have to keep feeling this way. The truth is, many people, once they reach their 60s, begin to experience this kind of loneliness, not because they're weak or too old, but because life changes. Children grow up, friends move away, some loved ones pass on, routines shift, and what used to be filled with voices and commitments now feels strangely empty. And that can hurt a lot. But here's something important I want to tell you. There's still time. There's always time to build real connections, the kind that warm your heart, make your eyes light up and remind you that you belong, that you still have so much to give, that there's still beauty in reaching out, in smiling, in receiving a hug, whether it's a physical one or an emotional one. In this video, we're going to talk about simple, practical, and meaningful ways to reconnect, not just with anyone, but with people who can truly make a difference in your life. And we're not talking about hundreds of new friends. We're talking about real bonds, relationships that hold you, that hear you, that grow with you. Maybe today you're feeling alone. Maybe you've even thought, but who would want to hear from me now? Or it's too late to make new friends. And that's exactly why this conversation matters so much, because that's not true. It's never too late to begin again and create a lighter, more connected, happier life. Shall we begin? Let me start by sharing something that might seem small, but holds incredible power, the simple act of leaving the house with a purpose. Think about it. A lot of people wake up, have breakfast, look out the window, and decide not to go out. Maybe out of habit, maybe out of fear, or because they think there's nothing out there waiting for me. But here's the truth. Every time you step outside, even if it's just to the bakery or for a walk around the block, you're giving yourself a chance to see someone, to exchange a glance, maybe even start a conversation. Yes, it seems simple, but it's the beginning. When we move, the world starts responding. A lady I once met told me something I'll never forget. I started going for a walk every day at the same time, and one day a neighbor said hello. The next day he started talking. Today he's my best friend, and it all began with a good morning. Loneliness feeds on silence, stillness, and waiting. But connection begins with small steps. If you can, step outside, even if it's just to look at the sky, to feel the breeze, to let life have the chance to reach you. And when you're out there, remember, everyone carries a story. Sometimes the cashier at the market feels lonely too. Sometimes the lady on the bench at the park just wants someone to talk to. Sometimes a simple "how are you doing?" can open doors you never imagined. But let's go further. I want to invite you to think about something that might feel a little bold to some, learning something new. But I'm over 60. Is it still worth it? Yes, it absolutely is. And more than that, it's wonderful to discover that we can keep growing. That cooking class you've always wanted to try, that craft workshop, that dance lesson, that writing or photography group, these aren't just ways to pass time. They're opportunities to be around people who share similar interests, desires, even fears. When you step into a classroom, in person or online, to learn something new, you're sending a message to the world. I'm still here. I'm still curious. I still have energy. And guess what? Others will see that in you. And that's where new connections start to form. Not long ago, a gentleman told me he signed up for a free computer course at his local community center. At first, he felt out of place, thought it would be too hard. But slowly, he began to open up. A young volunteer started helping him, and they became friends. Now that man has a WhatsApp group with his classmates. They send photos, memes, funny videos, good mornings every day. It might sound silly to someone on the outside, but to him, it's life, it's connection, it's joy. If there's something you've always wanted to learn, even if you've never tried it before, give it a try. Even if it feels scary, even if it seems hard, Because learning is fertile ground for connection. It brings people together. It builds bridges. And now I want to ask you something. Have you ever thought about the power of helping someone? That's right. Sometimes the best way to heal our loneliness is by reaching out to someone else. It doesn't have to be anything huge. You could volunteer at a school, read stories to children, visit a community center, help at a local market, set aside clothes to donate. There are so many ways to give back, and in each of them there's a chance to meet new people. Good people who are also there to do good. People who will look into your eyes and see the value of your gesture. Because when you help someone, you help yourself too. You're reminded that you matter, that you still have so much to offer, that your story matters, that your time isn't over, and that feeling of belonging, of having a purpose, is one of the greatest remedies for loneliness. A lovely woman named Selena once told me something that stayed with me. She had just lost her husband, whom she'd been married to for over 40 years. She was devastated, unsure of what to do with all the time. The silence, the empty house, until a friend invited her to a community garden. There, she started planting lettuce, talking to people, laughing again. One day, she said to me, I went to water the soil, but I was the one who ended up being watered. That touched me deeply, because it's exactly that. When we give love, we receive love. And if you're thinking right now, but I'm shy, I don't really have anyone to count on, take a deep breath. You don't need to do everything at once. Start small, a gesture, a step out the door, a good morning to your neighbor, signing up for a class, a sincere question to someone you meet, because you deserve to be surrounded by affection, by care, by genuine company. And maybe, just maybe, all that's missing is that first step. Maybe one of the biggest traps of loneliness is the belief that it's permanent, as if that feeling came to stay. But what many people don't realize is that quite often, the key to changing that lies in something simple, making room for someone else to come in, and more importantly, allowing yourself to be seen. Sometimes, we spend so much time trying not to bother anyone, not to be a burden, that we forget being vulnerable is part of being human. And when we put aside our pride and show up just as we are, with longing, with fear, with a need for connection, that's when the most genuine relationships begin. Today, I want to talk to you about something that may sound obvious, but a lot of people avoid: reconnecting with people from your past. That friend you lost touch with, that cousin you haven't spoken to in years, or even that neighbor who's always been kind, but the conversation never went beyond a polite good afternoon. A lot of times, those bridges are still there, just waiting for a gesture from us to be rebuilt. And believe me, it doesn't take much. A phone call, a simple message, an invitation for coffee, a "Hey, I thought of you and felt like talking." A gentleman named Elias once told me that after his wife passed away, he spent months barely speaking to anyone, until one day, while going through some old boxes, he found a letter from a childhood friend. Reading it sparked something in him. He picked up the phone and called. On the other end, the friend answered, emotional, and in that moment, it felt like all the years between them had disappeared. Now they talk every week. They share stories, memories, laughter, and the loneliness that once felt like an unscalable wall became a bridge. Sometimes we don't need new people. We just need to rediscover the ones who were already part of our journey, to give them and ourselves another chance. But I get it. Not everyone feels comfortable doing that. Some are afraid of being rejected. Others worry they'll seem needy or desperate. But please listen to this with care. The people who truly saw you in the past probably miss you too. And even if they don't, the act of reaching out is always valuable. Because it shows courage, it shows humanity, it shows love. Now, I want to take you to a different kind of connection, the one that begins in silence. And no, I don't mean the silence of loneliness. I'm talking about the silence that comes from peace, from learning how to be okay with yourself. Because before we can truly connect with others, we need to learn how to listen to ourselves. Many people fear silence because it echoes what they're trying to avoid. But when you stop, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to hear your own heart, something begins to shift. You become aware of your real needs, your desires, your limits. And that's freeing. Building a connection with others inevitably starts with building a connection with yourself. And that can begin in a very simple way. With a notebook and a pen, write, put your feelings on paper. What you long for, what you miss, what you're proud of, what you still dream about. It might feel silly at first, but writing is like having a conversation with your soul. And this daily practice, even if it's just a few minutes, brings you closer to who you really are. And believe me, the more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to recognize the people who are truly good for you. Another way to nurture that inner connection is by spending time in nature. A quiet walk in the park, tending to a plant, sitting in the sunlight for a few minutes with your eyes closed. These moments help calm the mind, balance your emotions, and open your heart to what's new. And what's new often shows up disguised as routine. Have you ever noticed how some people create little rituals for themselves? That cup of coffee on the porch, listening to music every morning, or even feeding the birds by the window. These are small actions, but they carry enormous power. Because they're ways of saying, I matter, I care about myself. And when you treat yourself with kindness, the world tends to do the same. And speaking of the world, why not explore it a little more? You don't have to cross oceans or climb mountains to feel alive. Sometimes, a new place right in your own city can surprise you. A public library, a local fair, a free lecture, a book club, a knitting group, a yoga or Tai Chi class designed for older adults. There are spaces created especially for people over 60. And the beautiful thing is, in those places, no one looks at you as the old person or the lonely lady. Everyone is there seeking the same thing: connection, health, good conversation, genuine laughter. And that's where the magic happens. Because when you find someone going through the same thing you are, there's an instant connection. A silent "I get you" that warms the soul. Once I met a woman named Irene who started attending a senior choir group at age 72. She told me she had never sung before, not even at birthday parties. But something inside her said it was time to try something new. At first, she sang off-key. She felt embarrassed. But little by little, she opened up. Today, she says the choir saved her life. Not because of the music itself, but because there she found friends. She found community, and she never felt invisible again. Maybe your voice isn't in singing. Maybe it's in painting, or dancing, or crafting, or simply listening. Yes, some people have the gift of listening, and that, my friend, is rare and deeply needed. If you're someone who listens well, who offers comfort, who gives thoughtful advice, use that. Join conversation groups, church circles, support meetings. The world needs people like you. Now, I want to invite you to consider something even more powerful: making space for the younger generations. A lot of people believe that after 60, it's hard to connect with younger folks. But that's a myth. And honestly, it's one of the saddest ones done, because this exchange between generations can be so enriching. You have wisdom, experience, stories, and that's gold to someone just starting out in life. At the same time, younger people bring lightness, fresh ideas, a different view of the world. There's something magical that happens when these two ends of the timeline meet. One learns from the other. One inspires the other. One teaches, the other awakens. If you have grandkids, nieces, younger neighbors, get closer. Ask them questions, listen, invite them in. Share your memories. Give advice, even if they laugh at first. Because deep down, they'll hold on to it. And you'll feel alive, useful, valued. A lovely woman once told me that her greatest gift was when her grandson invited her to join a live stream just to talk about what life used to be like. She shared stories about handwritten letters, vinyl records, old-fashioned dating, and the video went viral. She became what they playfully called a grandma influencer. But the most beautiful part wasn't the fame. It was the light in her eyes when she said, "My grandson looked at me like I was important again." You are important. Never doubt that. If there's one thing life teaches us, sometimes gently, Sometimes painfully, it's that everything has its time. A time to learn, a time to grow, a time to lose, and a time to begin again. And the most beautiful part is that, even after all the twists and turns, we can still rediscover within ourselves the ability to love, to trust, and to truly connect with others. That's why right now, I want to talk about a very special kind of connection. The kind that begins when you allow yourself to be part of something bigger. When you realize you don't have to carry everything alone, and you don't have to face your days in silence. There's a quiet but powerful strength in belonging to a community. Whether it's big or small, in person or online, spiritual, cultural, or simply emotional. Some people find that feeling in church groups, spiritual centers, or meditation circles. Others in health and wellness support groups, or even neighborhood associations. The name of the group doesn't matter, and neither does the number of people in it. What truly matters is the invisible bond that forms. When you look around and realize, I'm not the only one, we're in this together. That feeling of belonging is deeply healing. Because when you feel like you're part of something, you begin to see yourself again. You remember that you matter, that your presence makes a difference. Many older adults, after retiring or losing a partner, feel like they've been disconnected from the world, as if there's no longer a place for them. But that's not true. There's still so much to live for, so many stories left to tell, so many people out there waiting to hear your voice, to hold your hand, to build a new friendship with you. Maybe right now you're thinking, but I've already tried, and I got disappointed. Yes, that can happen. Life doesn't always respond on the first try, but that doesn't mean it's worth giving up. Every attempt is a seed, and some seeds take time to bloom, but they do bloom. I remember a woman named Hilda. She was 68, and after moving to a new city, she spent months without knowing anyone. She tried joining a fitness group, but found the people cold. She went to a book club, but felt out of place. Then, just when she was about to give up, she wrote a handwritten note and slid it under the doors of her neighbors, inviting them for afternoon tea in the building's common room. Do you know how many showed up? 2, but those 2 became her best friends. And today, that tea gathering became a monthly tradition in her building. One simple gesture transformed her entire routine. Sometimes all it takes is the courage to take the first step, to show the world that you're here, open, available, ready to build new bonds. And if you happen to be in a phase where your mobility isn't what it used to be, or getting out of the house feels difficult, know that technology can be your ally. Yes, it might seem intimidating at first, but with a little patience and curiosity, it becomes a powerful bridge between hearts. Today, there are WhatsApp groups made especially for people over 60. Friendship groups, emotional support chats, recipe exchanges, spiritual reflections, poetry circles. There are also YouTube live streams with real-time chats, free online classes, virtual meetups, all accessible with just a few taps on your phone or computer. If you're struggling, ask someone younger to help, a grandchild, a niece, a kind neighbor. Don't feel embarrassed. Technology isn't just for young people. It's for anyone who wants to connect, and you absolutely have the right to be part of it. Online, you can meet people from all over the country, or even beyond. You can reconnect with old school friends, discover new recipes, listen to music that marked your life, join virtual meetups, and most importantly, be heard. Many people find true friendships through online conversations. Sometimes, even love finds its way back. Yes, some say falling in love after 60 is rare, but I believe it's even more beautiful. Because when the heart has lived a lot, it loves with more truth. And if it's not romantic love, let it be love for life, for connection, for that warm, welcoming look from someone who truly sees you. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Connection. And connection doesn't need to be with lots of people. Sometimes just one person is enough. The one who listens, who remembers to ask how you're doing, who sends a message out of the blue, who holds your hand when the day feels heavy. Today, I want you to close your eyes for a moment, or just take a deep breath, and think of someone you'd like to have close. It could be someone from the past, someone you haven't even met yet, or maybe it's yourself. a lighter, happier, more connected version of you. Now open your eyes or your heart with the certainty that this version is possible, that this person exists, that this bond can be created because you're still here, with all that you are, with your whole story, with all your beauty. And as we reach the end of this conversation, I want to remind you of something very important. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to smile all the time. All you need is to be willing to try, to give yourself a chance, to make just a little space in your day for something new, something light, something real. And if this video touched you in any way, if even one word landed in your heart, I kindly ask, don't keep it all to yourself. Share it with someone. Leave a comment below. It can be a story. Thank you, I feel this way too. This space is yours too. And who knows, someone might read your message and feel a little less alone. That's how it begins, with a simple gesture, a human touch, a bond forming between hearts. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. You won't miss any of our future videos, all created with care, with respect, and with love for you and for everyone who believes that living well is possible, at any age. And finally, I want to leave you with this last message. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, or 90 years old. Life still has so much to offer. You still have so much to offer. And yes, there is a place for you in this world. A place full of affection, purpose, meaningful encounters, and genuine smiles. Live your best life at any age.